High priest, so les Moses à maman font mettons, ils slew the Egyptian. Moses' act of righteousness and wickedness. God have the control of Moses, of his acts, of his being, of his actness, of his righteousness, also of the Godhead body, of the operation of his lifestyle and his fashion of his life. Moses, the Egyptian, he slew an Egyptian, and he also become the prophet of God. He's God's mouthpiece of speech. And of Moses, and Moises saying so. And he Moses, the prophet, God man, and he use it, and he use it, and he do it, and he whatever he do it. That the operation of God has an exception of accomplishment to be made and be done of the disposal of the lot of the dispensation of King David. The mouth of the lions have been stopped and has been in the right component of the life of Moses to be the person that God uses for the honor and for the glory and for the purpose of God, of his pleasure, of the righteousness of the Father, through the Son, the only begotten Son, Jesus Christ, the King of the Jews, which taketh away the sin of the world. No, taketh sin on the world. You take the sin out of the world by the offering of his body. The sacrifices of bull and rams is not accepted, for the sacrifice is holy and acceptable unto God, which is the reasonable service, to serve God. The pleasure of God is the choice of people to make every single day that God chooses the day, every single day for the people of God to have the accomplishment of God in the life of the fashion and the style by mouth in the God. In the reason of God, of the fashion or the manner of God to use a person, a man or female, and female are made, create he in the beginning, to have God purpose and mission be fulfilled, of the mouth of God to be used in speech, the eyes of God to be used in speech for the glory and the honor of God, for the resentment of the revolt of wicked men, of sin of the body to be taken away, the separation of sin. God used man, body, instruments multiple times in the Old Testament, the translation of the revelation of Jesus Christ into the New Testament of the revelation of God to be used by God, of the man, of the people of God to be used of God have the lifestyle and the fashion in the way of the God. That God have more power than all other God have in the world for the redemption of money, silver, pleasure, of silver wood. I am known of pleasure of God to use the vessel of God to be used of God, have God way in the world that God created. High priest, so the God that God used is the person of God for the pleasure, honor, glory of God, for God to use the man, female, man, horse, all the body or the animals God used men, female together, one in an angelic form, and the angels of God in the body of God to be used to perform, to act, and have the way of God in God. high priest. So God have God way in God for the Saba et God Samuso enemo et kaba fe kobachon les gardations ebe fokome ebe euma avec et abse ebe mon va repo rememeba ene mon son rependo son et bova regarde répondez pas gonse c'est mon pont repo fesse au beau charme me font les héros et bien bon record repéchon et réception fait bien et bon God used God in the Bible, the body, to separate the flesh from the body without God, and the spirit is dead. The body of God used of the fashion form of the spirit, the body without the spirit is dead. The God used the instruments and the members of the body to have God performance. God used the God in the body to use and to perform the false structure of God for the understanding of God for the public or in privacy. Have God used many people, men, Old Testament, for the God of the heavens, where he created the earth and the sea and land.